Audience, welcome to Viewpoint from Overseas. I am your host, Misbah Azam. Today I have a very distinguished guest with me from Pakistan, and he is a famous television personality. You see his articles in Dawn newspapers also. He's a young man, but we all learn from him. We all see his articles and talk to you guys sometimes. So I have with me is a young journalist, and I emphasize journalist because as a lot of you know that in Pakistan a lot of people are not journalists. So I have a young journalist with me, Mr. Zarrar Khuhro. Zarrar, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well, and thank you for emphasizing the young.
No, you are young. You are the youngest among three of them. So I must say that, and we are all proud of journalists like you who are very consistent and still do not slip away from all those different things around you. So Zarrar, let's get to Pakistan's election. For there a lot has been said and written there. What I would like to know, what my English-speaking audience wants to hear from some Pakistani top-of-the-line journalists like yourself, how you see these elections. Zarrar.
How do I see these elections in which particular aspect?
There are a lot of talks going on that there were rigging there, it was pushed, there were pre-poll rigging. As a journalist, as a, I would say, insider, how you see all these things? To what extent there is a truth in these things?
There is some truth in all of this. There's no doubt about that. The pre-poll environment was certainly unfavorable to some parties and far more favorable to others. The issue with the results transmission system, which, as you well know, I'll recap very quickly, which sort of collapsed on election day. That still remains a mystery. I mean, that's still something we have not yet gotten to the bottom of. There have been parliamentary commissions made. In fact, if I recall correctly, yesterday there was a story. I can't quote it exactly because I don't remember the exact details of it now. But yesterday there was a piece quoting Nadra, I believe, saying that, well, no, the result transmission system did not collapse as the Election Commission of Pakistan claimed it had. That is certainly a question mark. I believe FAFN, the Free and Fair Election Network, also recently released a report saying that, well, the conduct of the elections in terms of perhaps security and so on and so forth was good. However, the part about the actual result transmissions aspect of it left a great deal to be desired. So I will not go so far as to say that the entire election was somehow fraudulent. No, not at all. I also at the same time can't say that the entire election was completely free and fair, or at least as free and fair as we would like it to have been. However, these are questions that I think the various opposition parties will be raising, various commentators and analysts will also be raising in days to come, and I do hope for greater clarity on this. I don't think that we will have greater clarity on it, but I do hope that we will, if that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Zarrar, for explaining this thing. Now let us move in the current situation and what is coming up. So we have different issues in Pakistan, as you and I know, and you know better than me, that we are facing issues of our foreign policy, we are facing issues our economy inside the country, then terrorism, and then security to the minorities, and all those issues are there. So far, whatever in 8 days, first 8 days, what Khan's government, what PTI government is doing, is up to, how much satisfied you are with that? Is he going to the right direction?
Well, Misbah Azam, at this point, though, these are largely optics, right? What we're seeing are optics, and optics are important in politics, certainly. You're seeing largely sort of quasi-populist steps being taken, like not moving into the PM house and, the business about traveling on business class and so on and so forth. And also, recently the announcement that all those luxury bulletproof cars that are owned by the PMO, those will be auctioned. These are optical moves. They are also populist moves, and obviously, I mean, while they are sort of, I suppose, appealing to a large part of his electorate and his support group, PTI support group, they obviously are not intended to make a grand difference on a national scale. Having said that, I mean, I do think that, as you just said, it's 8 days in, so it's very difficult to point out something that would be a concrete policy or a concrete policy measure, but then that's to be expected in the initial days of this government, or for that matter, any government. So, personally, I would wait the traditional 100 days to actually be able to honestly evaluate any serious change in direction, because as you said, and quite correctly, we have some huge problems. Obviously, optics are not going to measure those. Obviously, these small austerity measures are not going to address those, and nor are they meant to. So again, in terms of broader policy and how that broader policy will be implemented, I think that's something that we should be looking at in days to come, but perhaps we don't have an entirely clear picture of that at this point in time.
So, Zarrar, how much, actually, just 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, we had a chat with Dr. Moeed Yusuf. And on one of my questions, he mentioned that it all depends what Prime Minister Imran Khan takes as his advisors, as his minister. How much satisfied you are with his team he's forming around him?
Well, it's pretty much Musharraf's team, isn't it?
That's true. You're right.
Yeah, sorry. It is pretty much Musharraf's team. And we have seen this team in action, or at least most of this team in action before. Having said that, the sort of argument that Imran Khan presents, or that PTI supporters presents, is sort of like the reverse of the old Chinese saying, right? If fish starts to rot at the head.
Mm-hmm.
So their logic is that if the man on top is solid and he knows what he's doing and he's honest and he's determined, as they say that Imran Khan is, and obviously he did make it to the Prime Minister house, the Prime Ministership, so that does say something for his determination, if nothing else. Their argument is that so long as he's on the job, then everybody else will be on the job as well. There have been some rather strange appointments, if I could put it that way. I still don't understand how Mr. Osman Buzdar was made Chief Minister of Punjab. I think that most people in Punjab, and I think that possibly the Chief Minister himself doesn't understand how on earth he ended up.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there are certainly some things that I'm at pains to understand, and frankly speaking, that I don't understand. Yeah.
So let us begin with the specifics now, Zarrar. Let's begin with an economy. Like 3 years or 4 years ago, Dr. Ishrat Hussain visited to the Silicon Valley. Actually, we invited him for one of our convention, NED Engineering University convention here. So I had a very good chat with him regarding the economy during the Musharraf's time and all that. But the thing is that overall, I mean, I have a lot of respect for him. He is very respectable person. He gave a very effective talk, and you wouldn't disagree with me on that. However, his managing the economy. He was a state bank governor that time. Whatever he takes the actions like credit financing, allowing credit financing, that really helped boost the thing, but that is like a very weak grounds, on very weak grounds. What do you think, that is he going to advise Mr. Khan that okay, I will help you here, you help launch industrialization in the country? Do you think he has that type of capability?
Well, first of all, I think let's take a look at the portfolio that he's been given also, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. He is the advisor in charge of austerity and one other measure. What was the other measure?
I forgot. Yeah, I written it down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Austerity and one other thing. I mean, I could look it up right now, but then, that would sort of take time. So I don't think he even has the mandate for that sort of thing. Then also you have Mr. Zarrar on board, who is, I mean, of course, a businessman. Now, yes, again, great respect for Dr. Ishrat. He's had a very long and very illustrious career. And in his field, certainly, he's a very big name. Will he alone be sufficient to the task? No, certainly not. Because, I mean, to manage something as complex and frankly speaking as troubled as Pakistan's economy, you need not just a traditionalist approach. You need it's become a cliche to say an out-of-the-box solution, but that is what you need. You need not just one, you need several out-of-the-box solutions. You also obviously need the sort of traditional economic thought in terms of like how to spur growth, how to spur industrialization, and so on and so forth. But then again, that is not a one-man job, and I don't even think that Dr. Ishrat intends it to be his domain entirely. Again, as far as the economy is concerned, we are in some serious trouble, and we need some very, very serious thought on how to get out of it. Certainly, Dr. Ishrat's contribution will be significant, but we will also have to see how he, his team, or the entire government for that matter, Ministry for Economic Affairs, so on, and Finance, and so on and so forth, reaches out to all our stakeholders, sits down with our exporters, figures out what they need, what the hurdles are, and I'm not just talking in terms of holding their hands or like sort of addicting them to subsidies. I'm also talking in terms of export diversification. I mean, we really, really, really need to move beyond our traditional products and our traditional markets. And I can give you one or two examples without spending too much time on this. There's a great deal of interesting innovation going on in Pakistan right now. And you have a lot of young people, and I don't mean young like you call me young, which I still appreciate. I'm talking about actually young people, people in their late 20s, people in their early 30s, who are coming up, frankly speaking, Misbah Azam, with some amazing, amazing products. There's this one group that I interviewed just, I think, 2 weeks ago, right before.
Yeah, I saw your shows, yeah.
Yeah, you saw the one that they made, and then there's literally dozens we've done like that. There's this voice-activated wheelchair, there's a tremor acquisition movement sleeve for people who suffer from Parkinson's and have tremors. I personally think that the export potential of these products is fantastic, but somebody does need to, and that is happening. The National Incubation Center, which is after all a government-sponsored body, they are helping these kids, but we need to get them to move from the product stage to the marketing stage, marketing in Pakistan, but marketing across the world. China is our neighbor, and that's a giant market. Yet I'm not sure how much we export to China, what we export to China, or if we are still stuck in that traditional, we have to export to Europe, we have to export to America, that sort of paradigm that we have always had. And granted, those are also important markets, but I remember as someone once quipped many years ago, that if we were to just get the contract for sewing the socks for the People's Liberation Army, we could probably employ the entire country doing just that.
Yeah, that's
so it's something to think about. I'm not suggesting that we all start sewing socks from tomorrow, but surely we have things that they need, and surely we can get them to it. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
So, Zarrar, let us move to the internal situation of Pakistan. How do you see nowadays the internal situation as far as terrorism is concerned, law and order is concerned? Recently, there are some attacks on minorities. How you see it, and how big challenge it is for Mr. Khan's government?
It is certainly one of the greater challenges. Look, first of all, credit where credit is due, and let's take a look at at the reality here, which is that terrorism fatalities and acts of terror, while they have not obviously been eliminated, and I don't think they ever will be eliminated per se, have come down in the last 4 years. There were operations, there were stricter security measures. So if you take a look at the sheer numbers, right, if you take a look at the graph, you will note that the graph has been declining. So certainly that is a success. However, we should not fall into the trap of thinking, we've beaten terrorism, or we've broken the back of terrorists, or we've eliminated them all. I don't think that that's even a possibility, especially given the kind of neighborhood we're in, and given the horrible situation in Afghanistan right now. You saw what happened in Ghazni,
sure.
You saw what happened in Farah, and now though, the list is so long that one almost runs out of time simply listing the amount of places that have come under Taliban attack, and also under attack by the groups that claim to be affiliated with ISIS or Daesh or whatever you want to call them. So the security challenge is ever present. There's no doubt about that. And now, again, this is a very mixed bag, because on the one hand you have terrorism, on the other hand, as you just pointed out, you have this sort of general, I don't know, you want to call it a generally extremist milieu, you can do that. Take a look at the elections again. Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan got a significant amount of votes. They actually have members now in the Sindh Assembly, and as you're well aware, and I'm sure as your viewers are well aware, this is a religious extremist organization, which largely came to power campaigning on the back of glorifying Mumtaz Qadri, who was the self-confessed assassin of Punjab Governor
Mr. Salman Taseer.
Salman Taseer. So these guys are people voted for a party that actually considers Mumtaz Qadri to be a hero. But that's I think that's disturbing for a lot of people. It's certainly disturbing for me. So on the one hand, you have this as well. I think what you're referring to right now when you said about attacks on minorities, you're referring to the incident in Faisalabad, I believe.
Sure.
Where an Ahmadi place of worship came under attack.
Yeah.
Now, there's a typical pattern to all of these. Misbah Azam, 90% of the time, they don't start as a religious dispute. And 90% is just a figure I'm plucking out of the air right now. But let's just say in a vast majority of cases, they don't start as a religious dispute. They start as a local dispute. Like, for example, even in this particular case, there was an altercation. One of the parties happened to be Ahmadi, so the other guy said, hey, well, they're vulnerable, why don't we exploit that vulnerability against them?
Yeah.
You'll see that happen, and then, of course, announcements go out from mosques, the various organizational structures of these sort of right-wing parties, because these are the moments they choose, right? To step in and be with one of the aggrieved, with one of the parties. I won't even say one of the aggrieved parties, because that's not even clear. And they sort of whip up a lot of street fervor, and that fervor can go to very dangerous places. We saw that in Golwa. We saw that in Joseph Colony. That once you whip up the mob, it could be something as simple as, oh, I want the piece of land that this guy's house is built on, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be something as simple as, I had asked, for a chicken and this guy didn't give me a chicken, how dare he, and so on and so forth. But you will see that the way they sell it, right? Because how are you going to whip up a mob on a land dispute? It's a little difficult. But you can very easily whip up a mob saying, oh my God, these guys insulted the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him.
Yeah.
Or they've committed some act of blasphemy. It doesn't even matter if they have or they haven't. I mean, you'll remember there was this one particular case. I think there's a Christian girl called Rimsha, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And exactly.
Rimsha Masih, probably her name.
I don't know exactly, but I think it might have been Rimsha or something like that. Rimsha Masih, maybe. And the prayer leader, the Khatib, claimed that she was burning pages of the Quran. And later on, it turned out that actually it was the Khatib himself who had either burnt or defaced those pages in an effort to frame that girl because of some personal or monetary dispute they had with the family. That girl had to leave town. The Khatib is still chilling. So it's a very effective technique. And the thing with effective techniques is that they tend to get used again and again and again because they work. And that's the sad part of it, you see. So you have a position in which even your law enforcers are sometimes reluctant to engage in a particular situation because, well, hey, maybe some of them have sympathies.
That's true.
On religious or quasi-religious grounds, or they buy, whatever the BS that's being sold to them. Or they're simply afraid to get into the middle of this. After all, I mean, if you have a mob on one hand and you have a few cops on the other hand, what do you expect them to be doing? So this is, to me, perhaps a greater long-term problem than the sporadic acts of terrorism, heinous and horrible as they are. But I think if you were going to look at existential threats, I would rate this one higher.
Zarrar, let me ask you something. You don't have to answer if you don't choose to. Just say that you pass it.
All right.
Gibran Nasir is our friend, very good friend. So of course I can talk about him. I always ask this question: what is the future for people like Gibran Nasir in the country, after situation you just mentioned? And of course, you choose if you want to answer this question.
No, I can answer it. That's not a problem.
Thanks.
Well, look, predicting the future is a tricky task at the best of times. Even the past isn't what it used to be.
That's true.
Look, I would like to think that there will always be a place for people like this, but it will not be an easy place, mind you. It will be a place in which you are constantly under criticism, under verbal attack, and in Japan's case, what came very close to physical attack. And the kind of allegations and accusations some of his opponents have leveled against him amount to de facto death sentences. So, I'm not going to close my eyes and sort of be a Pollyanna and just say, oh no, everything's going to be fine, but don't worry about it. No, I don't think I can say that with any degree of certainty. But it's not the end of the world either. And I mean, here's the thing, right? I think we already have a lot of voices on the right wing. We have a lot of voices. We have a lot of obscurantist voices. We have a lot of regressive voices. And I think that for any society to move forward, in particular a society like Pakistan, you also need the counter voices, the counter narrative. That's a term we love throwing around without, really ever thinking what it means. And I think it's heartening to me personally that if you recall the 2013 elections, I think all combined in the national and the provincial seat, he got about 400, 500 votes.
Yeah, that's true.
Something like that, right? And this time he improved his tally by 1,300%.
That's true. That's what he was telling, that he did much better this time, even after all the problems he has to face.
Yes. Exactly that.
Yeah.
And see, here's the thing. Okay, I know for a fact that during the election campaign, a lot of people contacted him, and they were like, hey, listen, our whole, group or our whole network of friends and community are willing to vote for you, but we would like you to come and clarify your position on XYZ religious issue.
Yeah.
Which frankly speaking, he could have easily done.
No, that's correct.
Yeah, but he chose not to because he's like, but that's nothing to do with my campaign. I'm here talking about your rights. I'm here talking about your right to a clean environment, to turning on your tap and actually having water come out of it.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like bothered about these things,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so had he actually gone down that road, I think he probably could have doubled his tally.
Yeah, no, he's a young man also, so of course he has time to do that. I would want to go to a little bit foreign policy and a little bit more because most of my audiences will be more interested in this part of our show. As you see it, let's start with US-Pakistan relations. Then we go to India, Afghanistan. We will just mix them together.
Right.
US and Pakistan relations, the way after President Trump came, things were turning very fast. Although from President Obama's time, things were going south, and Mr. Cole, Stephen Cole's book, he even mentioned that how President Obama used to tell Cameron Munter to be tough on Pakistanis, when he used to meet him in White House, So where we are heading at, and how you see this recent, you call it miscommunication, you call it rebuttal on this readouts and all, how you see all these things taking these relations, which direction?
One word, downhill.
Downhill. Okay.
Downhill. And look, again, you just correctly pointed out, this didn't happen overnight. The trajectory has been south for some time now. And the fundamental reason is that our strategic impulses, our strategic needs do not align. In fact, far from it. I would go so far as to say that our strategic interests conflict in a great deal of areas. I remember there was a great deal of debate before the Trump election in Pakistan. What's Trump's foreign policy going to be? This is what he said in the past. This is what he said in the past. And I said consistently, it doesn't matter. Because Trump or no Trump, the state-to-state relations between Pakistan and the United States. Imran Khan or no Imran Khan, man, Trump or no Trump, Obama or no Obama, Nawaz Sharif or no Nawaz Sharif, the trajectory has been downhill for some time now, and there is zero chances, as far as I can see, and maybe I'm wrong, of that, reversing. You may have occasional thaws, but as they say, one swallow does not make for spring. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, in the stock market, they have such a thing known as the dead cat bounce.
That's correct. Yes.
You're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
So a dead cat off the roof.
Yeah.
When it hits the ground, it will bounce. It doesn't mean the cat is alive.
That's true. That's true. It's anyway dead. Yeah, that's true.
So the cat is dead.
Yeah.
And as far as this whole miscommunication goes, my God, this is Trump. When has this man or his entire administration been able to communicate effectively? He can barely string together a sentence. His one statement contradicts sometimes his Secretary of State, sometimes somebody else, so on and so forth. So I don't know if this is by design, because Richard Nixon was a famous proponent of what is known as the madman theory of US foreign policy, right? You're familiar with that clearly. This is a man who has alienated the United States' closest allies.
That's true. You're right.
So, hum kya cheez hai?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
We don't even rank in that. And of course, with the sort of, rivalry or confrontation between the United States and China, and now, as you are aware, Trump has gone and levied more tariffs and so on and so forth. There's movements in the South China Sea, Taiwan. There is no doubt or ambiguity as to which camp we stand in. We very much stand with China as far as this is concerned. And I think we share far more common interests with China than we ever have or ever will with the United States.
Zarrar, when you are in Pakistan, how you see that Mr. Trump, the way he pulled the stunt with, I would call it pulling the stunt with North Korea, suddenly he wanted to go there and meet with him. Do you anytime think that he may pull similar type of a stunt with Pakistan also?
Yeah, the thing is, he could, but then he might just pull like the exact opposite stunt, like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is, you don't know where you stand with this guy. I don't even know if he knows where anybody stands with him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I find it very difficult to sort of discuss him seriously.
Yeah.
Because I can't take him seriously. And I do believe that his entire administration is a joke. And the joke is on America.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, the entire world is laughing at the United States of America right now. I mean, half of them are laughing and half of them are like, my God,
what is going on? Kind of attitude. Yeah.
It's like, you're laughing uncontrollably, you're in shock.
Yeah.
You're like, what's up, man?
Yeah.
What's going on, dude?
That is very true, because I was in Europe just last 2 months ago, and I sense when people talk about it, the way they see US, it's most of the people, general people, is as a joke. Of course they make fun of Trump and his statements and all that. So Zarrar, let's move to a little bit more tough situation between India, Pakistan and Afghanistan. How about India and Pakistan? Do you see any breakthrough about to come?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
Oh.
No, I think breakthrough is a big word to use when it comes to Pakistan and India. I mean, of course, the bar for the breakthrough is very low. I mean, if we just start talking to each other, it's hailed as a breakthrough, right? Because we don't talk to each other, which is a sort of insane and untenable situation. I mean, we share this giant land border, yet there is no trade. That's not something that's sustainable in the long run. But, since when has better sense prevailed in the subcontinent? I don't even think that there will be, beyond like this sort of diplomatic niceties, Mubarak ho, aap Wazir Azam ban gaye, and we should, sit down and talk, and we should do this. I don't think it's going to move beyond the should and could, at least not until the Indian elections take place. Because one thing that you note, and you're a keen observer of the world, so you will have seen this, is that anytime that there's an election in India nowadays, the right-wing parties and the BJP parties, almost like the amount of times they conjure up the boogie of Pakistan. And it's actually, I find it like amazing, because, sure, excuse me, I'm not denying that in Pakistan you didn't have the slogans of, Modi ka jo yaar hai, Gadar hai, right?
Yeah.
But India never looms large in our election campaigns.
Yeah.
Not even in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, where it should, right?
Yeah.
Not even really in the border areas, but out there it's become like this sort of boogeyman. Anytime you don't like somebody, go to Pakistan. It's quite cool.
Yeah. No, I see. I hear you what you mean. So, but here, our diaspora, a lot of people, they are very upbeat that now Imran Khan came. Imran Khan has a lot of relations with cricketers and with Bollywood people. Of course, I saw some article which is answering this thing. How do you see that? Can Imran Khan use his leverages through the celebrity and then make things better? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay.
It's certainly possible. But then again, what we're talking about here is sort of like soft diplomacy, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about like, no, it's not technically track 2,
Yeah.
but it's not like hard diplomacy, right? It's not like the foreign minister meeting the foreign minister. We're not discussing, sort of larger issues, be they Kashmir, be they the state of the border, so on and so forth. Definitely, Imran Khan, Prime Minister Imran Khan has a great deal of goodwill in India. And he's a known commodity. He's a recognizable name. But that's not enough when it comes, of course, to state-to-state relations, right? Because state-to-state relations aren't really based on, hey, I like you, let's make peace.
Yeah.
It's about, or it should be at least, technically, textbook about, hard interests, interests and reality.
Yeah.
To me, the reality is that, this is not a conflict that can be sustained indefinitely. It has taken a toll, and perhaps more of a toll on Pakistan, given our relative size. But even for India, India shouldn't think that like, these guys are insignificant, we can run over them. Certainly a much larger country, much larger economy, much larger military as well. But so long as the Indo-Pak issue is not solved, India will not be able to fulfill its ambitions to step up as a global player, let alone a regional player. I don't think that will happen, because there we are, constantly being like, hello, we're also here.
Yeah.
And until your neighborhood is sorted, you can't think about becoming like a global cop. That's not going to happen. Sorry, just one last thing. I think that it's also in India's own interests to realize that the greater the hostility that comes from India, the closer our alliance with China grows. And is that something they really want to see 20, 30 years down the line, to be sort of encircled by this Chinese Sino-Pak alliance? If I were a strategic planner in India, I would not want to see that happen. And one tool that I would use is greater diplomatic engagement with Pakistan, because as they say, there are no permanent friends or enemies, there are only permanent interests.
So what I'm hearing you, Zarrar, it's a very interesting point you raised here. You are saying that actually that India-Pakistan relationship will be more normalized after Pakistan will be more allied to China, and of course, when China would be sitting in the Gwadar port and watching the Strait of Hormuz activities, and when other things happening, resolve their issues in the South China Sea and more economically viable, then India would think that, okay, this is the time we should do better with Pakistan. That's what you said?
Just to clarify, I'm thinking that they should have an eye on that future and start improving relations now.
I see.
That's what I think. That's what
I see.
Yeah. I would be worried if I was sitting in New Delhi and looking at this nexus.
No, that's true. I agree with you. Zarrar, just tell me how you guys in Pakistan, all of you, see what is happening to Mr. Trump in US. Do you think, okay, let me ask you a straight question. Do you see any impeachment?
I really don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. Honestly, because I'll tell you honestly, Misbah Azam, there's been so much happening in Pakistan that I have really not even had like the chance to focus on the madhouse that is United States.
Oh, well, that's true.
We are
can't blame you for that.
Hands, mouth, ears, nose, everything full.
Yeah.
So that is something that I want to look at. What I do find interesting is that I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Rudy Giuliani recently made a statement saying that the American people will rise up if Trump is impeached
That's
and
correct.
so on and so forth. That's interesting, because I always did speculate. We've discussed this on the show, and none of us are experts on the United States, or at least I'm not, and by none of us, me and my co-hosts, we do have a sort of overall understanding of what's happening there. But what I always found interesting was that were he to be impeached, right, the hardcore of his supporters, the ones who are like, you're fake news, America first, immigrants out, how are they going to react? Because, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, there's some insane polarization going on in your country right now.
Yes.
The red and the blue states are like completely at odds. There is a cultural war.
That's
really,
correct.
I think between the forgotten or flyover America, what they call flyover America, and the quote unquote coastal elites. So if he is impeached, I'm not so interested in the grounds for his impeachment as to how he's going to spin it.
Yeah.
And I have the feeling that he's going to spin it, be like, look, this is the Washington elite, this is the swamp that I'm going to drain, and they want me out because I stood up for you, the common people.
Yeah.
I think the man is capable of calling for civil unrest.
Yeah.
If he is in fact impeached. And that will be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a very good point, actually, Zarrar, you made here. Because you're right that he's not gonna let things go that easily, I mean, there is... So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard my guest, Mr. Zarrar Khuhro. You heard his views even about whatever we are seeing around us here in United States. So keep watching Viewpoint from Overseas. I am your host, Misbah Azam.